Manuel Ugarte is out of a hospital bed tonight, not out of a stadium. That is the reality Manchester United are dealing with right now. Ugarte has just gone through surgery on a knee ligament injury, an injury he picked up while playing for Uruguay at the World Cup. He did not pick up this injury in a friendly. He did not pick up it in training. He picked it up on the biggest stage in football, representing his country, while his club back in Manchester was already trying to plan a rebuild around him. Think about the timing for a moment. Pre-season is almost here. Michael Carrick is already on the training pitch trying to build patterns of play. And one of his defensive midfielders is now beginning a rehabilitation process instead of a pre-season programme. That is not a small inconvenience. That is a hole in the middle of the pitch, right as the rebuild is supposed to be taking shape. The stakes here is what was genuinely at risk the moment that injury happened. Manchester United do not have a deep, settled midfield right now. They are actively trying to complete it. Bruno Fernandes is still away because Portugal went deep into the World Cup. Yuri Tielemans is away because Belgium went deep into the World Cup. Kobbie Mainoo is away with England. And now Manuel Ugarte, one of the senior holding midfielders already at the club, is entering a recovery period with no fixed timeline attached to it in what has been confirmed so far. So picture Carrick's actual situation. He is trying to build a title-chasing squad. He does not have his captain. He does not have his new marquee midfield addition. He does not have his young academy midfielder. And now he does not have one of his most reliable defensive midfielders either, because that player is recovering from knee surgery instead of running through pre-season drills. Before we go further, if you want this kind of serious fact-based breakdown of every Manchester United story, not hype, not noise, just the real analysis, hit that subscribe button now. This channel is built for people who want the full picture, not just headlines. Now let's go step by step through everything that has come out, starting with the confirmed club news and building up through the rumours, and then into the bigger picture stories shaping this transfer window. The confirmed club news report 1. Manchester United have officially confirmed that Manuel Ugarte has undergone successful surgery to address a knee ligament injury, an injury suffered while he was on international duty with Uruguay at the World Cup. The club has stated Ugarte will now begin the rehabilitation stage of his recovery and that he will be carefully managed by the club's medical and performance staff going forward. My analysis here is simple. This is not a rumour, this is an official statement, and that matters. When a club puts its name directly behind a medical update like this, it usually means the recovery process is expected to take real time, not days. A player does not go under the knife for a knee ligament problem and bounce back into full training within a week. This is the first genuine injury blow of United's summer, and it lands before a ball has even been kicked in pre-season. Report 2. Andre Santos has spoken about Leny Yoro, recalling that he faced him previously while Santos was at Strasbourg and Yoro was still at Lille. Santos described Yoro as a very difficult opponent to play against, praising his defending and his pace, saying it is hard to get past him. This tells me something important about the mentality already forming inside this new look squad. Santos is not walking into Manchester United blind. He has already competed against one of his new teammates at club level and he clearly respected what he saw. That kind of pre-existing respect between new signings and current squad members tends to speed up integration. It is a small detail, but it is a real one. Report 3. Michael Carrick has explained that training is going well and that the group is keeping the ball effectively. Carrick said he is personally getting involved on the training ground because he wants to build understanding with the group before all of his senior midfielders return, specifically naming Bruno Fernandes, Yuri Tielemans and Kobbie Mainoo as still being away. This confirms exactly what we broke down in the stakes section. Carrick is not hiding from the situation, he is actively adapting to it. A manager choosing to step onto the grass himself rather than simply waiting for his first team midfielders to return tells you he sees pre-season as too valuable to waste. He is building foundations with the players available to him right now so that when Fernandes, Tielemans and Mainoo do walk back through the door, they are stepping into a structure that already has some shape. Report 4. Andre Santos has revealed that Cole Palmer, who was born in Manchester, reached out to him personally, wishing him well for his career at the club. Santos described being excited about the move to Manchester following that message. On the surface, this looks like a nice gesture, but from an analytical point of view, this is about culture. When players from outside a football club, players who have no obligation to reach out at all, take the time to welcome a new signing, it tells you the England squad grapevine and the broader football community see this Manchester United rebuild as something worth paying attention to. Santos is arriving into a moment where outside players are already taking notice. Report 5. Andre Santos has confirmed he has already messaged Matheus Cunha directly. According to Santos, Cunha told him to reach out for anything he needed and welcomed him to what Cunha called the biggest club, adding that he is excited to meet him. This is the second separate account of a senior Manchester United player reaching out to Santos before he has even trained with the group. That is not a coincidence, that is a pattern. Whether this is organic or being encouraged from within the dressing room, the effect is the same. New signings are being made to feel wanted immediately, and that usually shows up on the pitch faster than people expect. Report 6. Andre Santos discussed the importance of having a mixed squad, combining young talent with experienced professionals. He specifically referenced Bruno Fernandes, Noussair Mazraoui and Harry Maguire as examples of the experienced players he believes the squad needs. Santos said that age is just a number if a player has experience and confidence in their work. This is a mature outlook from a young player, and it lines up with how Manchester United appear to be building this squad overall. They are not stripping out every experienced player in favour of only youth, they are trying to blend both. Santos naming Maguire specifically is notable given how often Maguire's long-term future gets questioned publicly. A new signing publicly valuing his experience is a small but real signal about where Maguire currently stands inside the dressing room. Report 7. It has emerged that Michael Carrick is a genuine admirer of three midfielders, Manu Koné, Alex Scott and Eduardo Camavinga, and all three are said to be highly regarded internally at Manchester United. However, each of these players carries a valuation of around £80 million, which makes a move for any of them unlikely under current circumstances. Here is where we separate fact from fantasy. Admiration from a manager does not equal a transfer. £80 million is a serious number for a squad that has already been careful with its spending this summer. My reading of this is that these three names represent a wish list, not an active negotiation. Fans should treat this as background information about Carrick's philosophy, not as a signing that is close to happening. Report 8. It is being reported that Fenerbahçe are preparing to make an official approach for Marcus Rashford and are keen to reach an agreement with Manchester United as quickly as possible. If a club-level agreement is reached, personal terms discussions with Rashford would then follow. I want to be very clear here, this is a rumoured approach, not a confirmed transfer. Nothing here says Rashford has agreed to anything personally, and nothing here says Manchester United have accepted an offer. What this does tell us is that there is genuine outside interest building around Rashford's situation, and that a move away from Old Trafford is becoming a live possibility rather than pure speculation. Keep this one firmly in the rumour category until personal terms are actually confirmed. Report 9. Manchester United are reportedly facing a tougher path to sign Angelo Stiller after his release clause, worth €36.5 million, expired. Stuttgart now control the negotiation process fully, and that release clause is not expected to become active again until the summer of 2027. This is a significant setback if Stiller was ever a serious target. A release clause expiring removes United's easiest route into a deal completely. Without it, Manchester United would now need to negotiate directly with Stuttgart on Stuttgart's terms, and clubs in that position typically demand a premium. Realistically, this pushes any potential Stiller move much further down the list of priorities if it remains a target at all. Report 10. It has been reported that Manchester United will target Crysencio Summerville, currently at West Ham, should Marcus Rashford leave this summer, with a potential fee in the region of £30 million. This report also repeats that Carrick admires Koné, Scott and Camavinga, but reinforces that their price tags of around £80 million each make those moves unlikely. This is the clearest evidence yet that Manchester United are already planning contingency options around Rashford's future. Interest in Summerville is not happening in isolation, it is directly tied to the possibility of Rashford departing. That tells us the club is preparing for multiple outcomes at once rather than waiting to see what happens with Fenerbahçe first. Report 11. Rio Ferdinand has praised Manchester United's business on Youri Tielemans, highlighting his Premier League experience and his role as Belgium's captain at this World Cup. Ferdinand's overall point was that without the release clause, given Tielemans' profile, the transfer would likely have cost well over £70 million, and that Aston Villa would not have wanted to sell him at that release clause price. Ferdinand called the £35 million fee an excellent piece of business. This is a strong endorsement from someone who understands the market. The key detail for me is the release clause itself. Clubs almost never let a genuinely first-choice captain of a World Cup nation leave for well under market value unless a clause forces their hand. Manchester United clearly did their homework early and locked in value before Tielemans' stock rose even further during this tournament. Report 12. It has been reported that, unlike Matheus Fernandes and other targets, Youri Tielemans made it clear very early that he wanted to join Manchester United. Recruitment sources believe this clarity of intent is a key reason why players like Matheus Cunha and Bryan Mbeumo were able to settle in so quickly after their own arrivals. This is an important recruitment lesson being applied in real time. Players who genuinely want to be at a club tend to integrate faster, adapt faster, and contribute faster. If Manchester United are now prioritising this kind of early, clear commitment during negotiations, rather than simply chasing the most talented available name, that is a meaningful shift in recruitment strategy, and one that appears to be paying off already with Cunha and Mbeumo as evidence. The bigger stories. Let's start with Bruno Fernandes, because his World Cup numbers tell a story that goes far beyond one tournament. Portugal are already out of this World Cup, beaten 1-0 by Spain in the round of 16. On paper, that should be the end of the Bruno Fernandes World Cup conversation. It is not. Even after that elimination, Fernandes still sits at the very top of one specific statistical category across the entire tournament: defensive pressures, with 247 of them, 7 clear of Spain's Dani Olmo in second place. Across his 5 matches for Portugal, Fernandes also forced 27 turnovers and applied 20 direct defensive pressures. Here is my analysis, and it connects directly to something that happened at club level last season. Ruben Amorim made the bold decision to move Fernandes out of his advanced playmaking role and into a deeper double pivot position in midfield. That decision was polarising among supporters because it visibly reduced Fernandes' influence in the final third for periods of the season. But these World Cup numbers are in effect a vindication of what Amorim saw in him. This is a player whose engine and work rate were always suited to a deeper, harder working role, and it lines up with information from the 2024 to 2025 Premier League season as well, where Fernandes ranked 4th in the entire league for total pressures with 378 and had the second most possessions won in the final third with 37. What this tells me is that Bruno Fernandes' value was never only about assists and forward passing. His engine has quietly been one of the most underrated parts of his game for years, and it took a World Cup played after his club manager, who built around that trait, had already been sacked in January, to make the wider footballing world notice it properly. Now let's move to the Aurelien Tchouaméni and Manu Koné situation, because this is where transfer logic and World Cup performance collide directly. Manchester United have reportedly made contact over Manu Koné as a potential third midfield signing this summer, following the confirmed arrivals of Andre Santos and Youri Tielemans. At the same time, there are suggestions Aurelien Tchouaméni could still theoretically be available, despite reports that he is close to signing a new contract extension at Real Madrid. France's World Cup ended in the semi-final, beaten 2-0 by Spain. In that match, Tchouaméni was comfortably France's best performer, earning a 6.8 out of 10 rating, the highest of any French player on the pitch. When you place his numbers directly next to Koné's, who came on as a half-time substitute in that same game, the gap is stark. Tchouaméni completed 89% of his passes, 54 out of 61, compared to Koné's 86%, 24 out of 28. But it is the defensive numbers where the difference becomes impossible to ignore. Tchouaméni recorded 7 defensive contributions to Koné's 0, 4 tackles to 0, 1 interception to 0, 2 clearances to 0. He won 83% of his ground duels, 5 out of 6, compared to Koné's 17%, just 1 out of 6. And in the air, Tchouaméni won his only aerial duel while Koné lost his only one. My analysis is direct here. If Manchester United's stated need this summer is a genuinely defensive-minded central midfielder, someone who can shield the back line and win the ball back consistently, then this performance data makes it very hard to argue that Koné is the stronger profile fit compared to Tchouaméni. However, the reality of this situation is that a move for Tchouaméni now looks extremely unlikely. Jose Mourinho is said to view him as untouchable at Real Madrid, and reports suggest Tchouaméni used interest from Manchester United to help secure an improved contract rather than to actually force a move. There is a £250 million total transfer budget in place for United this summer, so financially a deal is not impossible, but the football reality points toward Tchouaméni staying in Madrid, and Manchester United needing to find their defensive-minded midfielder somewhere else entirely. Now finally, let's talk about Kobbie Mainoo, because this story is not about football data at all, it is about character, and it deserves to be treated that way. Mainoo has played 0 minutes across England's opening 4 games at this World Cup. He is the only midfielder in the entire England squad yet to appear at the tournament. He is 21 years old, but he is far from inexperienced on the biggest stages, having already played in a European Championship final defeat to Spain back in 2024. Despite being completely overlooked by Thomas Tuchel throughout this tournament, Mainoo chose to use his platform for something outside of football entirely. A fan named Jordan Adams, who lives with early onset frontotemporal dementia, set himself the challenge of securing a ticket to England's semi-final against Argentina within 32 hours, and shared his situation publicly, speaking about not wanting to reach his 40s full of regret. Mainoo saw that post and responded directly, telling Jordan he had him covered, before personally arranging for a ticket to be sent to him. Jordan has since confirmed he made it to Atlanta and that FIFA has also arranged for him to attend as a special guest at the match. My analysis of this is simple, and I will not overstate it beyond what is confirmed. A player who has every reason to be frustrated, who has not been given a single minute at a major tournament, chose in that moment to look outward rather than inward. That tells you something real about Kobbie Mainoo's character, and it lines up with how he is known to have handled a difficult period at Manchester United last season as well, staying patient and professional under Ruben Amorim before earning his place back in the team once Michael Carrick arrived in January. Whatever happens with his international career from here, this is the kind of story that builds long-term respect around a young player, and it deserves to be recognised on its own terms. So here is where Manchester United genuinely stand right now. One confirmed injury blow in Manuel Ugarte, requiring real rehabilitation time. A midfield rebuild that is 2 names deep with Santos and Tielemans, and a third name, Koné, in early contact, while a stronger defensive profile in Tchouaméni looks locked in at Real Madrid. A Rashford situation that is moving from speculation toward an actual approach from Fenerbahçe, with Summerville already being lined up as cover. And 2 individual stories, Bruno Fernandes' pressing numbers and Kobbie Mainoo's gesture to a fan in need, that remind us football is still, underneath all the transfer noise, about the players themselves. That is the full picture as it stands. If you want this level of detail on every single Manchester United story this summer, make sure you are subscribed, because this rebuild is only just getting started.